Welcome to CARE's very first podcast. Our goal here is to share information about the work our organization has been doing to support internationally educated nurses. Today, our guests will be Dr. Ruth Lee, the Executive Director for CARE, Center for Internationally Educated Nurses, Mirzad Nicholas Gadiri, Technology Lead and Case Manager for the Pre-Arrival and Supports Services Program, also known as PASS, and Ganiyat Animashan, an internationally educated nurse. Let's begin by talking to you first, Dr. Lee. Can you tell us a little bit about your background? How did you become connected to the organization?
I think CARE is very well known because CARE has been around for almost 20 years now. So in its early days, it all because of a shortage of nurses, and all of a sudden the government started to call for proposals and provide some seed money, and also some organization also provide some support to establish CARE to help internationally educated nurses. So I've been a nurse for a long time, over 30 years, and have gone through the journey from staff nurse and educator and clinical nurse specialist and also chief of nursing practice and so on, and also gone through the education system. So I've been kind of involved at the distance with CARE over a long period of time, particularly very passionate to ensure that IENs, in my view, are very, very skilled and knowledgeable to basically integrate into the Canadian nursing profession and the healthcare system.
Okay, great. So you mentioned that CARE is very well known. For those out there that don't have the information about CARE, can you tell us about its history from when they started until where you are right now?
So actually, CARE is established since 2001, and as I mentioned, with a group of very keen volunteers, including nursing leaders, to establish CARE to support internationally educated nurses. So we are actually one of the first bridging programs for health care professionals, and so as far as I know, we are the only one that's focusing on nursing. Okay. I guess mainly because nursing is a biggest group of healthcare professionals. It doesn't matter which area of the journey of life you need nurses, and in all sectors, such as hospital, acute care, to community, to home care, to occupational care. So you find nurses in many, many, many settings. So we're big as a profession. So we also make sure that internationally educated nurses will be able to go back to their passion of nursing, rather than doing jobs that is not really using their skills.
Okay, great. So I understand there are two components to CARE. There's the STARS program and the PASS program. And I believe you have the expertise on the STARS program. Can you tell us some components of the STAR program?
CARE actually is funded by the federal as well as the provincial government. So when you introduce Nicholas, you mentioned about the pre-arrival support and services program, we call it PASS. That's funded by the federal government, the IRCC, and then the provincial funded the core programs of CARE Center. We call it STARS, which is acronym for Supports, Training, and Access to Regulated Employment Services. So we basically have a case management model, which have the internationally educated nurses at the center of our focus. So whatever we do at CARE, whatever category of staff that you are at CARE, the center of our focus is supporting that internationally educated nurses to make them successful, to make them get back into the profession of nursing which they choose to be their lifetime career. So in a nutshell, we basically support them along the journey from getting their credentials verified. Also, when they get that first letter from the College of Nurses of Ontario, we help them interpret it and what are the learning needs that they need, and then prepare for their exams, and then also help them look at what kind of employment support they need and beyond. And we actually have clients that come back to us to say, I'm ready for graduate studies. Also, how can the care help me? So we also do that, and we link them with partners in the community as well as mentors. So specific courses that we provide through the STARS program, unlimited one-on-one case management, as I mentioned. Every client, we treat them as individual nurses because they have their individual challenges. They come from different countries and different clinical background and educational background. So that one-on-one case management is very, very important because basically they need hand-holding through that very difficult journey of getting registration and employment and beyond. So we start by supporting them through the National Nursing Assessment Service so that they know what is needed and so on. We provide guidance around the letter of assessment from the CNO I mentioned earlier, also language, communication skills, exam preparation, also optional job shadowing. That means facilitate the opportunity for them to actually get into the clinical area to see how it's like to be a nurse in Ontario. It may be very different. Most likely it's very different from where they used to be. Employment and workshop integration supports all the way from preparing that resume, letter, application, and also the important partnership that we have with employers, that we actually have employer representatives from different hospitals and employers to come in to care to do that mock interview. So as if it's real. So then when they go through that, we give them very concrete feedbacks that what they did well, what they didn't do so well that they need to improve on, and so on. And we see very, very positive feedback from that process. We also have many, many professional development opportunities to enhance their clinical skills as well as knowing how it's like to be nursing in Ontario and Canada. And we have nursing leaders actually volunteer to be those speakers and presenters to share their expertise with our members. We also have mentoring and networking opportunities that we will facilitate as well. So in a nutshell, that's what we do at the STARS program. And I know that Nicholas is going to talk about our STARS pre-5 program, which is PASS.
Wow, that certainly is more than a nutshell. You've sounds like CARE is providing a lot of services for international educated nurses, and we're going to talk to Ganyat soon, and she's going to talk about her own experience. But I can't imagine. My next question is about any exciting projects that are in the works for CARE.
So actually, we just did a very broad survey of all our clients. So almost 500 IEN clients responded to our survey over the summer and let us know what's important to them. And also our case managers also provide a very important feedback. Our stakeholders, academic partners, and regulatory folks that also give us some feedback. So as I move forward, we just develop our new strategic direction for the next 3 years. And we absolutely need to focus on the way that we deliver service because we know that many of our clients are from very hot countries in temperature. Right. And they find it very challenging to commute to our respective offices to have that one-on-one. So this past winter, we have this huge storm. So many clients that get on the go-to-meeting, the electronic way of communicating with our case managers. So business as usual without, traveling to the office and meeting one-on-one. So as I move forward, we will really beef up our electronic way of deliver our service. So one example is now that we're doing the podcast. Right? We want to really keep in touch electronically. Basically, it's enhancing our one-on-one. So I don't want people to think that, from now on, we are not going to do it a one-on-one. Absolutely not. We will provide one-on-one as much as possible and also based on the client's needs. So we will continue to do that, but enhance it by electronic means. And as I mentioned, over 60% of our clients through their feedback said that they really like to do that. And also, you will see that a lot of the things that we used to do in person, such as coming to the office to sign up for care membership, orientation, signing up for courses, it will be able to do that through electronic means. So this is, in a nutshell, what we're looking at, and also continue to build strong relationship with employers.
Okay.
and other stakeholders.
Great. Thank you very much, Ruth. Nicholas, I want you to join in this conversation. So, Ruth mentioned briefly the pre-arrival program, and I know that you're the case manager and technology lead. So could you tell us about the components of this program and your role within that group?
Right. Yeah, thank you. I have been with Care Center for 4 years, and I'm the technology lead and case manager, as you mentioned, with pre-arrival support and services PASS program. As Dr. Lee mentioned, that the PASS is Care Center's pre-arrival program funded federally by Immigration, Refugee, and Citizenship Canada. PASS has served over 800 internationally educated nurses since the program started in January 2016. PASS is for internationally educated nurses living outside of Canada who have been approved to migrate to Canada on a permanent basis. Nurses are encouraged to join PASS as far in advance of their arrival to Canada as possible. All of the supports and services are designed to shorten the time that nurses spend upon landing to Canada, in Canada to professional registration and employment. We help them get started on the credentialing assessment process as early as possible and get familiar with the Canadian healthcare system. PASS also consists of a few components. Firstly, participants have access to unlimited and individualized case management, which is largely provided through Skype, GoToMeeting, and email. Our case manager tailored support and guidance depending upon individual circumstances, date of arrival, and provincial destination. We also offer timely support and guidance as well as connection to meaningful referrals upon arrival so participants can continue to receive support on their journey to settlement, nursing licensure, and employment in Canada. PASS also offer over 110 hours of online programming, facilitate mostly live, but with pre-recorded option to accommodate participant schedule and diverse time zones. We offer the following information and orientation webinars, including transferable skills, networking skills, Canadian workplace culture, Canadian labor market, also jumpstart the nursing registration process, nursing in Canada, employment law and standards, orientation to Canadian healthcare system, self-care strategies, also human rights and employment in Canada, and professional writing skills for nurses. PASS also offered two self-administered online courses, both which provide nursing occupation-specific communication skill training in English. They are designed to improve communication skills in the Canadian nurse context. Finally, PASS partners with the Canadian Nurse Association or CNA to offer group and individual mentorship connection.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. It sounds like a great resource for nurses who are planning to move to Canada, which makes for a great transition to you, Ganyat. So you've had an interesting career so far, and I know that you came through the PASS program. So why don't you start off by telling us about your experience prior to arriving in Canada?
Okay, thank you, Michelle, for having me. So I studied in Finland, and I have 1 year experience in long-term care. I got my BSc in nursing in Finland, and I came to Canada this year, February. I'm in the process of getting my RN license. I have my IEN cap in November this year. So that's basically what I've been doing before I got into Canada here.
Okay, great. So for our audience, you're hearing some acronyms, NNAS and CNO, but we will be talking in future podcasts about what these acronyms really mean and how they're important to the international educated nurse. So eventually you became a member of CARE.
Yes.
So how has CARE helped you to navigate the process of attaining your RN registration?
Actually, I think the most important thing they've done for me is the support, which I feel is really important for anyone that is coming to this country as a new citizen, a new member of the society. So CARE has provided me all the support I need and even much more than I expected, because when I came, I was clueless. Even though I had researched before I left Finland about nursing in Canada, but it was actually much more different than I ever expected. So through the case management, my case manager is really, really supportive. And also the care center provides a lot of programs for us to develop ourselves, our clinical skills, our communication skills. So that's the main thing I feel, and that's like everything, the support that they give to us. And it's like they are basically holding our hands to proceed. And it's quite surprising, like people you don't know from anywhere, and they
Right.
provide so much support to you. So it's really pleasing, and it's a good feeling. So they've really helped me in that direction.
So, any advice you'd give to nurses who are planning to move to Canada?
Actually, I think the most important thing I can say is getting the right support before you move to Canada and immediately when you get to Canada. So you have people that have been on ground that know how it happened in Canada to show you the way, to show you that, okay, take this path, go through this path. These are the courses you need. These are things that will make you succeed in Canada. So the support is really important, and I will advise anyone and everyone coming to Canada to join PASS before coming to Canada, and then when they get into Canada to join CARE, because it's a smooth transition.
Well, if they're in Ontario anyways.
In Ontario,
Yes,
in Ontario.
that's
Yeah,
right.
sorry, in Ontario.
That's
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much, Ganyed, for sharing your experience, and I hope that you'll be successful in attaining your RN registration.
Yes, thank you.
So today we spoke to Dr. Ruth Lee, the Executive Director for CARE, Mirzad Nicholas Gadiri, the Technology Lead and Case Manager, and Ganyed Anna Mashon, I'm sorry if I messed up your name, one of our international educated nurses. If you want more information about CARE, please visit our website at www.carefornurses.org. So that's CARE, the number 4, NURSES.org. Thank you.